Venus, the planet of love, abundance, relationships, and prosperity, has been affected severely this year since its transit in July into the sign of Leo, wherein it received an aspect from retrograde Saturn, and then moving on to August when it went retrograde for 2 months in Cancer. And now it has transited into its most tricky position of being in conjunction with the planet of disassociation and detachment Ketu in the sign of Virgo, where it becomes debilitated. All this impact on the significance of Venus has led to innumerable breakdowns of romantic relationships, and not just that, but also major impacts on money markets, causing major corrections within financial instruments of investment. The irony here is that during this impaired transit of Venus, we also have the occurrence of the festival of lights, that is Diwali, where the goddess Lakshmi, who grants wealth and prosperity, is worshipped to invoke her blessings to receive abundance. And also the very infamous angel number of 1111 during this transit being activated must also have made a lot of messages about manifesting material prosperity become a pattern at this point. Yet, I would say that during this transit, rather than asking for material prosperity, it is a much better time to ask for a good sense of judgment to critically analyze your needs and wishes in relation to monetary resources, and how would you manage to make the best out of whatever amount of resources you currently hold, rather than trying to push towards accumulation of financial progress. A much better time energetically based on the planetary transits to manifest financial growth and stability will come forth when Jupiter moves into the sign of Taurus next year in 2024, as this is a sign ruled by Venus, and also this creates synergy for inventing innovative ideas to expand your financial growth, as Rahu will be transiting in the sign of Pisces, that is ruled by Jupiter, and yet also wherein Venus gets exalted. So use this remaining period of time this year to evaluate your needs and wishes regarding monetary resources, as well as manage ways to first know wholly how to account and apply your resources in the best way possible, so that when time comes, you will be able to extend and invest your resources in a much more informed and efficient way. Venus and Ketu are being conjunct within your sixth house goes to show the fact that you have to be careful with the fact that how your finances are being managed, because there is this aspect wherein the sixth house has a lot to do with debts, and there can be a proposition wherein you are either pondering or you're in the midst of applying for some sort of debt to kind of help you out with certain situations, and that is something that you have to be very cautious about, because there is a probability wherein if you're not cautious enough, there can be certain trip ups or some sort of challenges legally which can come about later. So be very, very careful if you're going to be looking out for some help or debt financially. You have to be very open to being critically analytical about what kind of agreement or what sort of arrangement are you getting yourself into. This also goes on about your health as well, because Venus also has a lot to do with your health and your vitality basically. So you have to rewire how you approach your daily routines, how you approach your process or methodology to healing yourself. A lot of those themes will also be popping up right now, within the simple fact that you have to pay attention to how you're able to manage your daily routines and how you're able to accumulate self-healing and wellness properties and practices within that structure, so that you don't have to later bear the brunt when, unfortunately, if it so happens that you do get sick, you're able to get up on your feet much faster. So that sort of process needs to be adopted. Also, what can be a probability is that if there are any relationships, because for the past 1.5 year you had Ketu within your seventh house. So if you had any sort of energetic blockages or the kind of challenges which were brought about also because solar eclipse happened in your seventh house, so a lot of uh, blocking or releasing of energies was basically happening within your relationships. And if it so has happened that some sort of negative tendencies or negative relationships have still not cleansed out within your life, this kind of energy also brings about a very sort of critical analysis of what is benefiting you and what is not, and being able to eviscerate or detach yourself from any of such liabilities or attachments that do not serve your best interest. Karmic energy and cleansing and balancing will certainly happen with regards to your professional circle and proficiency, and as well as your relationships. Your planetary lord Venus is going to be conjunct with Ketu during this month within your fifth house and in the sign where it's debilitated. The kind of energy basically that it brings forth for you right now, you have to be very critically analytical of the kind of sacrifices that you have made, especially in your relationships, and how much of yourself are you willing to let go of. And when I say how much of yourself, I mean of your identity in the means of the kind of things that interest you, the kind of things you love to do creatively, pursue something for fun, excitement, enjoyment. How leaving those things that you find joy or happiness in, are they really serving your best interest when it comes to you being in relationships? And if that is the basis of being able to maintain those relationships, please try to evaluate the importance of keeping such relationships in your life. And if you can mitigate or sort of try to remedy that, then it is beautiful. Through communication, probably it might work. But the kind of energy which it presents is definitely going to be more leaning towards you having a deep exploration into understanding really what the dynamics of your relationships are, and basically eviscerating or detaching yourself from the kind of equations that do not serve your best interests or your best efforts to heal yourself and find joy in your life. So be very critical of what kind of relationships you foster and fester in your life, and what do you really want to um, keep nourishing going forward. So that is one facet of this energy. The other facet which we can also see is the fact that when it comes to your monetary investments, you have to be very careful of how you will be investing your money right now, because there is a highly likable probability that your investments can turn on you in a way, because Rahu can increase your risk appetite and the want of being able to multiply your financial gains. But you have to be able to be very stringently critical and analytical of what sort of investments you are making, and rather than just going along with the haze of, okay, this is the trend of investment, be very careful of how you are dealing with those things, because there is a probability that you might be losing out on money rather than making money when you take certain risks. This also deals with your personal interests, how you basically tie in with your creative pursuits, how they define you, what sort of interests that you might have left some time ago, which you can pick up now, which will bring you a lot of joy. So that can also be something that you should keep your eyes open to and yeah, energetically pursue, because that can bring you a lot of purpose and joy during this time period. Venus and Ketu will be present within your fourth house. Venus is debilitated in the sign of Virgo, and it is getting connected with a planet that brings detachment, which is Ketu. It can definitely show a sense of dealing with conflicts within your home or family dynamics in a way which can even bring about a weird sense of detachment from the outcome of what happens with that conflict, because you can be in a space wherein you can feel emotionally depleted to be able to care really for how the outcome of that sort of challenging dynamic might basically result to. So that can be something which is a little troublesome right now. This can also relate to probably some sort of financial decisions which are quite crucial when it comes to you undertaking debts for being able to refurbish or for being able to even invest in some properties. You have to be very careful that even if you are in a space where you have to undertake a decision, be very sure to critically analyze the kind of contracts or the kind of entanglements that you're getting into with that regard, because this kind of energy can bring a sense of challenge when it comes to being able to take a positive debt and channelize that into probably reforming or just changing something about your residence or your property holdings and things like that. So those financial decisions have to be very critically analyzed during this time period. Also, when it comes to your relationships in general, be sure to kind of equalize how much you are able to give yourself emotionally, especially to be able to be in service of others, and not to just be open to pour in the cups of other people, but also be open to being helped in a way that brings you emotional stability and satisfaction as well. Venus and Ketu are going to be conjunct in your third house. In a way, this is not the most positive aspect that can be created by this energy, because Venus is going to be debilitated and it is going to be in connection with the planet of detachment. So, in a way, this is going to bring forth a sense of disillusionment when it comes to especially your financial efforts and how much of your efforts are really bearing fruit in the kind of financial investments and risks that you are taking right now. Be very careful of how much you are willing to undertake as a risk appetite during this time period in your monetary investments, because it is not energetically the best time to figure out those things. And also, with regards to your relationships, this is a time period definitely to have a very objective analysis and a critical understanding of, are the scales of effort and interest balanced within your romantic relationships, because this is a time period wherein if you feel that these kind of equations are not in your best interest, you are best to move forward from those things and to be able to heal those inadequacies within the kind of expectations that you had set from these relationships. So that is also something that you can possibly encounter during this time period. This is especially coming forth for any sort of connections that you have formulated within the online phase and scope of social media. So those kind of relationships can go through a major cleansing during this time period for you. Venus and Ketu are going to be conjunct for you in your second house. And this is a little tricky when it comes to the fact that Venus, which is the planet of money and which is a planet of relationships, gets debilitated in the sign of Virgo, which further gets conjunct with the dissociative sort of energy of Ketu. And all of this is happening within your second house of financial security, um, and the concept of safety. So, this definitely has a lot of energy in terms of the fact that you have to cleanse out on certain energies of codependence when it comes to your romantic relationships. You have to be able to understand the fact that there has to be a sense of balance within your willingness to provide and give within your relationships, and not just be in a space wherein you are constantly overextending yourself to be able to balance out the scales of the dynamics within your relationships, and through that is how you validate your self identity and your emotional stability. So that it cannot be the codependence of those two dynamics working within each other, and it has to be kind of separated and eviscerated in a way wherein you have to take a deep dive into understanding what your own personal values are, and how is that basically not congruent with the kind of relationships that you are probably being subjected to right now. And how do you basically go on with either rehabilitating those connections, or on the other hand you have to let go of certain situations which are not working in your best favor, especially when it comes to the sense of seeking stability, safety, and emotional support from your counterpart in the relationships or partnerships that you harbor. Also, on the other hand, this has a lot to do with intrinsically trying to go internally and understand what are the values, especially financially, that you hold on to, which are in a way pulling a barrier onto your ability to be able to maximize your gains, and be able to profit off of the fact that, as Rahu's energy will be prominent in your eighth house, you will be able to basically pool in your resources with other people and gain a lot from that prospect, or also be able to make financial gains through other people's resources as well. So figure out what are the kind of barriers which are being projected into your own financial beliefs and values, wherein your capacity to be able to generate higher financial gains are being restricted, and how are you really, rather than being supported or comforted by the prospect of safety or security within your finances, rather being somehow restricted to be able to really enhance and figure out how to deal with the gains that you can be able to procure when you kind of mix in a level of unpredictability or risk within those investments or financial decisions. Ketu will be present in your first house, so a lot of change will happen with regards to your self image. And this is further played into the fact that we will have a Venus and Ketu conjunction happening through your first house. So, definitely, the sense of being able to really go deep into understanding your self worth and how you derive a sense of belonging or worthiness from not just your work and your proficiency at that, but also to be able to exterminate that or basically eviscerate it from your sense of confidence, from your sense of self worth, to be able to really heal yourself in a holistic way. Because there can be challenges with being able to accept yourself as who you are really in this period of time, uh, because of the kind of challenges that you had been facing with your work environment. So you have to be able to basically separate those two things and understand that your self worth or your ability to love yourself should not be derived from your ability to do things for others and how you can be of service to others, but also, firstly, you need to be able to find that love or acceptance and healing within yourself. This also can be interpreted in the context of how you need to be able to first understand yourself and your need to be able to be loved, uh, rather than depending on others for that validation or that sense of comfort or that sense of belonging, to be able to first find that within yourself. And that is extremely important for you because for the next 18 months, you will have the sense of being obsessed with finding companionship, partnership, and all these things. And it can become quite obsessive in a way. So, to be able to really have this sort of energetic opening in a way wherein you can really do some self work right now to understand why is it that you are seeking some sort of partnership or relationship, and how can you, if so, provide that sort of love, or if not companionship, then at least acceptance to yourself first rather than chasing it or seeking it from other people, is extremely important for you. Momentum when it comes to your financial debts can become positive, but you need to be able to really be quite stringent and critically analyze how you are coming into any sort of obligations or contracts when it comes to the debts that you have to undertake, because there can be a prospect wherein if you are not very diligently checking the details and reading between the lines, then you can possibly be later held on to some sort of liabilities which you do not want. So be very careful with signing anything during this time period. And also, if you have in mind with regards to probably undertaking some sort of loan, then thoroughly understand what are the liabilities and how can you really be able to formulate a plan to repay those loans and commitments with your current sense of finances, and which is extremely important for you to be able to really consider holistically in case you do not want to be able to later on have to lose out potentially on any sense of financial security. The conjunction of Venus and Ketu in this 12th house. Now, why this is very significant for your sign is because Venus is your planetary lord, and it is the significator of finances and love in astrology, and it gets conjunct with a sort of detachment and disassociative energy of Ketu, and all of this energy is getting conjunct within the 12th house. So this is certainly going to be a time period wherein you have to be very particular about the kind of investments you're making. You have to very critically analyze the kind of data or the kind of changes that you see currently when it comes to the kind of investments that you have made, because the probability of you possibly being able to not be as profitable when it comes to the investments you have made can become a major theme for you during this transit. And you have to also be careful when it comes to the fact that if you have certain relationships in your life that you feel are not fulfilling to you, in a way equalized, wherein you feel that you are giving more in certain equations to keep the peace or balance out the dynamics of a relationship, you have to understand, take a step back and analyze the situation very critically and from a third person perspective, to be able to break away from those bonds if you feel that the effort is not being reciprocated. And You have to also be able to be very careful regarding your health during this time period, because being your planetary lord and getting conjunct with Ketu in the 12th house can provide certain circumstances wherein you might potentially be physically hurt or impacted in a way wherein there can be potential visits to the hospitals. So be careful regarding your health as well during this time period. Venus is going to be conjunct with Ketu in your 11th house. Venus is the planet that is significatory of your money and relationships in astrology, and being conjunct with the planet that brings disassociation or a sense of distance within these prospects is certainly going to change a lot of ways that you pursue your dreams and aspirations, because this kind of conjunction of energies within your 11th house can bring a sense of disillusionment when it comes to the kind of network circle or the company that you keep of even your friends, and how they are basically influencing the kind of aspirations you seek for yourself or the kind of goals that you set for yourself, and basically be able to really understand how to detach from the influence that people can in a very subversive way have on you and your uh, aspirations or wishes and dreams, and how to be able to manifest a more realistic and a more congruent sense of goals for yourself, which align much better with your personal sense of aspirations or what you truly desire internally, which can be hidden or which you could have been critically looking down upon for a period of time. You are now going to want to be able to work towards realizing those internal desires and be able to work on those rather than just manifest or pursue things that the general population has been chasing towards. And this can even come in terms of your romantic relationships, wherein there can be a sort of disillusionment of how you are really bringing a sense of novelty within your relationships, and how you are going to have to critically analyze what is the benefit that these relationships which you are fostering in your life are bringing to you personally, and if not so, then how can you possibly let go of those interactions or those kind of influences that detract you from the sense of belonging or the sense of peace or the sense of purpose that you want to really feel in your life. This is also quite significatory of your finances, wherein you have to be careful to not have these overarching desires of financial gains, because it is going to be quite easy for you to lose out on the profit that you want to make, and possibly even lose out on the kind of cash you invested initially into some sort of speculative gains. So be very careful of not being too greedy or being overtly obsessive with being able to materialize more financial gains anyhow. That is something that you have to be able to, that need of wanting that has to be assessed and internally investigated. Venus and Ketu are going to be conjunct within your 10th house, and this is going to present an energy wherein the kind of manifestation of this prospect will happen within the realm of your professional prospects as well as your public image. So this is a space wherein you can feel that the kind of dedication or the kind of focus that you previously harbored regarding your professional pursuits can become a little more detached, in the sense that you will start to contemplate your aspirations about your professions in a way which is intrinsically trying to align where you are feeling that your purpose is basically pushing you towards. And this can even impact your public image, wherein rather than being able to be too overtly expressive or opinionated or in the pursuit of reward or recognition. You are now going to turn inwards to try to understand a lot of things about your own perception or your own image, basically, rather than just being able to find the worth in your abilities as well as your proficiency to achieve certain sort of work outcomes. You need to be able to detach from that sense of conditioning and to be able to figure out your essence and your worth separated from that overarching sense or need of wanting to validate your identity through the process of being workaholic and trying to substantiate a sense of belonging or appreciation through that process. Venus and Ketu are going to get conjunct within your ninth house in the sign of Virgo. And this is the kind of energy which can be a little challenging in the terms that Venus is being the planet of love and affection and money is going to get conjunct with Ketu's disassociative and a kind of distancing energy. So you are now going to be in a space wherein you can be quite critical regarding your own set of values and systems. So the kind of religious or spiritual or philosophical ideals, beliefs, or the kind of values that you hold regarding these concepts can probably make you have a sort of awakening in a sense, wherein you can want to strip down on certain values or things that you held on to that you felt were restrictive of your growth. And this is going to be a time period wherein you can possibly be involved or be wanting to discover more regarding these concepts and try to delve into these themes in a much more intrinsically deeper way. Now, what also tends to happen here is the fact that you can possibly also reconsider a sort of liking or excitement that you previously harbored for some sort of educational qualification. So that is something that can also probably become a possibility here. And when it comes to the kind of relationships you harbor, any sort of relationship or dynamic that you have with a mentor figure, or even in this fact your father, can in a way come to question wherein the basis of the devotion within that relationship or dynamic can be something that you will reconsider and try to rework through while trying to understand if that relationship dynamic is beneficial to you. Venus and Ketu will get conjunct within your eighth house. And this is the kind of energy which can probably be a little tumultuous when it comes to your romantic relationships, because there can be a prospect wherein there are some sort of dynamics within power exchange and the kind of basically the scales of power within your relationships are going to feel much more out of balance than they have before. And this can contribute to a sense of feeling isolated or misunderstood right now. So you need to evaluate how basically these conflicts are going to become in a way transformative to your whole outlook or aspiration towards having such relationships. So you will also meanwhile be involved within a sense of wanting to detach yourself from the kind of financial resources that you possibly share with people, and it can even be your partners. So there can be this prospect of wanting to detach yourself from being able to rely in a way on other people for your financial stability or for your financial moves, especially now that Rahu has moved into your second house, and it is going to bring a very innovative and a change within the way you financially do your investments and how you pursue security and safety through your financial moves and investments. So this is going to be a time period wherein this Venus Ketu energy is going to catalyze you to be able to really critically analyze how these pairings or bondings within the set of investments that you make, are they really basically helping you out in achieving the kind of targets or goals that you want to set for yourself? If you're possibly looking out for some sense of financial help or aid from somebody, possibly in a way, let's say like an inheritance, the process of achieving it can become a little difficult. Venus and Ketu will be conjunct within your seventh house. And this is going to be a sort of energy which is going to bring a lot of catalytic changes within your relationships. This is specifically because Venus, which is the planet of love and relationships and money, is going to get conjunct within the house of partnerships, be it romantic or business, within a energy like Ketu, which is basically bringing forth a sense of association or distance from these concepts. So this is going to be a lot of time for karmic cleansing of certain sort of relationships in your life, or even karmic beginnings of certain relationships in your life. But I would say it is a much more positive influence if you kind of evaluate critically what sort of relationships you have in your life and how are they being able to provide a sense of balance within the kind of healing and the kind of interests that you are currently dealing with. So you are going to be able to have to analyze how these are impacting your psyche and the kind of way you are right now wanting to, the kind of basically relationships you want to deal with or foster during this time period, and are they constructive to that direction that you want to take. So these kind of energies bring forth that sense. And also when it comes to the interlink of finances within your partnerships has to be very critically analyzed, especially if you have some sort of business wherein there is a link with a lot of legal papers or legalities that need to be signed and that need to be executed. So you have to be careful with regards to being able to be very critically analytical of the jargon that can be present in such documents. And rather than being deceived later, you have to be able to exercise a sense of caution and precision within being able to get involved in such sort of partnerships in the first place. And this is going to be a time period wherein you will have a lot of changes within the kind of relationships you seek, or even within the sort of dynamics you are able to cultivate for your own healing through the kind of relationships you have within your life at this time period. And with discussing all these personalized predictions, I come to the end of this video. I hope you have resonated with the predictions shared in this video. If so, then don't forget to like this video and also subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys soon with the next video. Until then, take care, you all.